What thou lovest well shall not be reft from thee. What thou lovest well is thy true heritage, whose world, or mine, or theirs, or is it of none? First came the seen, then thus the palpable Elysium, though it were in the halls of hell. What thou lovest well is thy true heritage. The answer centaur in his dragon world, pull down thy vanity. It is not man-made courage, or made order, or made grace. Pull down thy vanity. I say pull down. Learn of the green world what can be thy place in scaled invention or true artistry. Pull down thy vanity, Bakken, pull down. The green cask has outdone your elegance. Master thyself, then others shall thee bear. Pull down thy vanity. Thou art a beaten dog beneath the hill, a swollen magpie in a fitful sun, half black, half white, nor knowst thou wing from tail. Pull down thy vanity. How mean thy hates, fostered in falsity. Pull down thy vanity, wrath to destroy, niggard in charity. Pull down thy vanity. I say, pull down. But to have done instead of not doing, this is not vanity. To have, with decency, knocked that a blunt should open, to have gathered from the air a live tradition, or from a fine old eye the unconquered flame, this is not vanity. Here error is all in the not done, all in the diffidence that faltered. Ottavia Piccolo read a piece from Ezra Pound, Cantos number 81. Good morning and welcome to the presentation of the 61st International Art Exhibition of the Biennale di Venezia in minor keys by Kouoh, which will open to the public on Saturday 9th of May and will be open until 22nd of November this year in the Giardini di Arsenale, Marghera, and other places in the city. I'm Cristiana Costanzo, head of the press office for architecture and visual arts and of the historical archives of La Biennale. We are streaming live from Teatro Piccolo Arsenale, adjacent to the areas of the exhibition. And we welcome those who follow us remotely from all over the world, the many journalists who were not able to be here today in Venice, and a warm welcome, of course, to all the guests here in the room. Greetings to the representatives of the press, all of them, and I'll give you some numbers. There are more than 4,000 accredited journalists to date. 2,800 from the international press, and 1,200 from the Italian press. And I take this opportunity to thank you for your work. The international exhibition this year is accompanied by 100 national participants, 29 in the historic pavilions in the Giardini, 25 in the Arsenale, and 46 in the historic centre of Venice. 7 countries are participating for the very first time in Biennale Arte: Republic of Guinea, Republic of Equatorial Guinea, Republic of Nauru, Qatar, Republic of Sierra Leone, Federal Republic of Somalia, Socialist Republic of Vietnam. For the very first time, El Salvador participates with its own pavilion. There are 31 collateral events of the 61st exhibition, promoted by national and international non-for-profit bodies and institutions, organized in numerous venues in the city of Venice, thus increasing the pluralism of voices of the exhibition. We come to this date after complex weeks that have generated attention and debate. Today, we wish to bring back to the center that which constitutes the very reason of the existence of the 61st International Art Exhibition. An exhibition conceived as a place for listening and discussion, an edition that is more the result of a choral work, and this year more than ever before. After the passing of Kouoh in May last year, exactly 1 year ago, La Biennale decided, with the support of her family, to carry out the projects he had designed together with the team that she had selected for this adventure. And I will call them later here to the podium. It is an international group that has developed the curator's vision and which has been able to keep together different points of view and urgencies. Kouoh selected 100 artists to bring to Venice stories and languages that question the present with strength and complexity. You will see that in the exhibition. The visual arts section and all the offices of La Biennale have contributed with dedication and rigor to this complex and shared process, where every contribution has had a role in the development of the exhibition. Our task as press office and as an institution is to restore this complexity without reducing it, supporting the public and the media within this exhibition that opens up today to everyone's gaze. In this spirit, we now enter the heart of the curator's project, giving the floor to the team, and I will call in order Gabe, Beckhurst, Feijoo, Hélène, Pereira, Rasha, Salti, as advisor of Koyo's team, Rory, Tsapayi, research assistant. I don't see Siddhartha, who has possibly not arrived. Oh yes, he has arrived, Editor-in-Chief Siddhartha Mitta. Now we will start a brief conversation where we will share the lines, the choices, the responsibilities that have supported the transition from Koyo's project to this collective effort. The project arises from the vision that was developed by Koyo, who had immediately worked on the development of the project, defining the theoretical text, selecting artists and works, as I have recalled very often. But I'd like to say that once again, to go back to Koyo's exhibition, inviting. So within the catalogue, she had determined the graphic identity, the architecture of the exhibition areas, talking and inviting the artists to participate. Concretely, what has it meant for you to continue this project, and where is the borderline between continuity and collective interpretation in the transition from her vision to the public realization? Hélène Pereira.
Christiana, thank you to everybody for being here. Thank you to El Presidente, Andrea, the whole team of the Biennale for all the support that they've given to us in the making of this exhibition. We want to start by reading a poem. So it will be partly read by me and by Rory. It's from a Senegalese poet called Birago Diop. The Breath of the Ancestors. Listen more often to things than to beings. The voice of the fire, the water that speaks, the voice of the wind, the bush that weeps. This is the ancestors' breathing. Those who have died are not gone. They are in the darkness around, the darkness that fades. The dead are not underground. They are in the tree that shivers, the woods that quiver, the water that runs loud. In a hut, in a crowd, the dead are not dead.
Listen more often to things than to beings. The voice of the fire, the water that speaks, the voice of the wind, the bush that weeps. This is the ancestors' breathing. The breath of the ancestors who are not gone, who are not underground, who are not dead. Those who have passed are not gone. They are in a woman's breast, in a child's wailing song, in the coals that won't rest. The dead are not underground. They are in the fire that burns, in the rock that yearns, in the grasses that weep, in the forest, at home when we sleep. The dead are not gone.
Ok, vado io. Okay. Allora, questo progetto
This project has been designed against the guiding ideas of Koyo, like resonance, procession, oasis, schools. How have you worked in order to keep these concepts alive in their translation through the exhibition, preventing them from being simple labels and remaining faithful to their original generative potential?
Our process of working with Koyo started in December 2024. We had weekly meetings, that's how we started, and we had very early a very good understanding of what she wanted to do, what she wanted to bring as a concept, what she wanted to share with the world, which messages she wanted to bring in the Biennale. It came very naturally, I think, in terms of us finding the rhythm to work together, because Koyo knew each of us very well for years. I myself started working with Koyo in 2011, so that's 15 years now. And she was a mentor to me. She's the one who introduced me to curatorial practice. Through the establishment of raw material companies. So we had a long road of me learning from her, her teaching me, us working together, learning together, experiencing the building of an art institution together. And my colleagues also have a long-term relationship with her. So there was naturally a strong connection to her vision, to who she was as a curator, as a human being. She was a big sister to all of us, or sister, tout simplement.
I would add that Koyo was very frank, and I think in her name, Koyo in Douala, there's something that hints to that, somebody who has no fear from speaking the truth. She knew how curatorial practice was. No curator is alone a genius or a visionary. And she understood how collaborative it is. Her audacity is that she brought it to the forefront. She brought it to the surface. She was curious, naturally curious about the world. She was naturally more disposed to loving than to disliking. And she always assembled around her people like us, who nurtured her, who made her discover other artists, other texts, other poets, other languages, other cultures, other food. And the collaborative process is organic to her, and the way she created a rhythm for our team was also very spontaneous, very comfortable, very organic.
E riguardo alla selezione degli artisti,
As to the selection of artists made by Koyo, bringing together a lot of different practices as we see in the exhibition, and sometimes creating tensions, how did you assure the consistency of this constellation vis-à-vis the horizon that she outlined in a list, if anything? So how did these contradictions become acknowledged, and how were they integrated in the process of building up the exhibition?
I would say that they're not so much contradictions. Kouoh was very interested in confluence, in unexpected confluence, in bringing artists together in very intergenerational ways. And for us, I don't think we had to deal with the question of coherence, because we were trying to stay true to that in realizing the project. I think one example, for instance, is the conversation between Marcel Duchamp and Issa Sam, two artists that never met, but Kouoh really understood a shared methodology, an interest in how art lives in the world, its relationship to the museum. You can think about Sam's living courtyard, his courtyard atelier, where the art was alive and changing, and then Duchamp's critical examination of the museum as something that valorizes, but is also complex. And so, in this sense, I think tension can be productive, and I think Kouoh also saw tension as productive, or it's something that gathers. It's a gathering of energy, and then you have release. So I think I would say that that's not something we had to concern ourselves with so much. They are productive.
e una domanda a Rory.
A question for Rory, who has been an assistant in this process, in the research, if you like. The transition from Koyo's vision to the establishment of the exhibition, how did bringing together artists and works of art help give shape to the exhibition as you met with the artists?
I think something that was fundamental to Koyo's curatorial process, and a methodology that we learned from her and inherited from her, was the work of listening to artists. Of course, this exhibition is one about attunement and attention, but the way that we approached and the way that she approached the artists in the exhibition was with an invitation to make an offer, to make a proposition. There was very little, if not none, top-down curation of, I have selected this artist and I have selected this work or this body of works. The invitation was to all the artists, how were they interpreting the concept of the minor keys? And we continued in the process to be incredibly receptive to that. And artists, of course, as you've seen in this exhibition, responded to this call in very different ways. Some, after Koyo's passing, with more intimate and personal responses. I think, for example, of an artist like Maria Magdalena Campos Pons, whose tribute to Koyo and to Toni Morrison sits at the heart of the Central Pavilion. But also artists who proposed things from work that they made in years, if not decades prior. I think of someone like Bonnie Devine, who's showing brand new work and also work from the 1990s that she felt resonated with the theme of the minor keys. And so in terms of this transition from Koyo's vision to the exhibition, it was a transition that was stewarded by listening, by dialogue, by conversation. And that's been a truly pleasurable experience, I think, for all of us as well, that, my colleagues already spoke about collectivity and collaboration, but that extends far beyond the curatorial. It's intra-artistic, it applies to the people who have mediated this exhibition through contributions to the book. We listen to each other, we speak to each other, and she speaks to us and we listen to her too.
Siddhartha.
Siddhartha is editor-in-chief. He focused on the realization of the catalogue with La Biennale. The catalogue includes essays, testimonials, contributions of so many artists. How did you build this plurality of voices without losing the core of the project and maintaining Koyo's original vision?
Good afternoon, everybody. Koyo welcomed a plurality. Her work was plural. She listened and welcomed perspectives broadly. She let artists lead her, not in a passive way. She had a way of working that was extremely rigorous, extremely experienced, but also very intuitive. And she was one of those rare people for whom intuition sharpened rigor, and rigor in turn informed intuition. It was very remarkable to witness and to be part of that process of imagining. And the way that that worked with artists, and this comes to the catalog, is to give artists space to respond to and imagine from an intellectual or a creative or an emotional prompt. She didn't curate by PDF. She didn't imagine an exhibition in her head and then just make it happen. She invested. She invested in artists just as she invested in her collaborators and in anybody that was important to her that she respected. And so investing in artists and their practices meant knowing a practice that she wanted to bring into a certain setting. This setting, there are practices that she cared about a lot that she wouldn't bring into this exhibition because this exhibition had a certain orientation that she was trying to achieve. And then allowing space for an exhibition to reflect those practices in multiple ways, including ones that could only come into being thanks to the prompt of having the opportunity of the exhibition. And the way that this worked in the catalog also was a decision that was taken collectively before she left us, that we wanted to give artists space in the catalog, 4 pages per artist, to get very practical about it. How many pages do you give to each artist? 4 pages. That allows you to have more images, it allows a text that breathes, and it allows a slightly longer individual text than the kind of classic 200-word blurbs. Taking that vision forward, we invited artists to recommend or nominate or suggest writers to speak about their own practice. And in some cases, we helped intermediate or gave suggestions. The result is a very polyvocal catalog all the way down to the artist entries. In terms of other entrances in the catalog, of course, the catalog of the Venice Biennale, like the Biennale itself, is an institution. It goes into art history, it goes into the canon, it goes into the archive. And so it has to be taken very seriously. You might not be able to revolutionize it, but you can innovate and do conceptual and creative work inside of it. And so when you look at the catalog and you see some of the choices that we made of how to organize it, you'll hopefully see that there are a number of essays by important and influential and serious people in the field who are voices that were very important to Koyo. There are invocations that are not directly connected to the content of the exhibition, but are very connected to its mood and its orientation. And there are a few little things that we've put in that are not in the table of contents that you can discover as you go through them. The point in making a coherent book out of this, having studied many catalogs of many previous exhibitions, this one and others, was to do what the show itself does, something that is rigorous as well as plural, and that is intuitive, but also that is intuitive and polyvocal, as well as a formal contribution. And so as an editor, the challenge to bring that all together, aside from an organizational challenge, which you can imagine, was how do we harmonize all of this without ever homogenizing it?
Grazie. Rasha.
Christiana, I think it's important to say this. It is not only an unusual biennale because the artistic director is not physically present. It is a biennale where we were left with her absence, looking for her presence. We became welded in our mourning, our love for her, and the aspiration to realize her greatest dream. Koyo had been solicited to become artistic director of other important art exhibitions, art events, but she was extremely keen on this one. The morning, our sadness transformed into love, and as much as our friendship bound us to her, it bound us together. And I have to say, we have been here for almost 2 months. Maybe it was transparent to the teams, to the art handlers, to the electricians, to the painters, to the architects, to the registrars. Maybe they saw the state of exaltation and anxiety that we were in. But they gave so much. If Koyo was here, she would have given a speech and named each one of them. The last exhibition we curated with her, Gabe and I, in Hamburg, she literally named everyone, including the electricians. We don't have that list, and maybe this is not the place, the press conference, but we want to express our gratitude to all the Biennale teams. I can name the heads of the departments, including yourself. You have given us affection. You have protected us, guided us. Jörn Brandmeier, Cristiano Frizzelle, Flavia Fossa Margutti, and outside the Biennale, the Wolf Studio, our architects and scenographers that Koyo invited to imagine the exhibition with us, Heinrich Wolf, Ilse Wolf, Karin Trengov, Anne Meyer, and others. They have gone beyond the call of duty. We actually say that working with them had joy, and we hope this kind of joy translates to the viewers, to the visitors, to the exhibition. The pleasure we had in honoring our beloved friend. It is not a coincidence that the first artwork in the Arsenale is about friendship, and the first work you encounter inside the Central Pavilion after Otobong Nkanga's marvelous transformation of the facade that brings life onto this modern architecture building is Big Chief Melancon's sentinels to protect, to guard. The last person we really need to thank, who has gone also beyond the call of duty in supporting us, is Claire Bruckel, who has helped us with fundraising. I'm sorry I digressed, but it was important.
Non è una digressione, ma
Thank you, Rasha, and thank you all. And I would say that with this declaration, we can end this conversation before we start to talk with the audience. At this point, with gratitude for the support and their presence, I will give the floor to Jean-Christophe Babin of Bulgari, exclusive partner of the event. And I would like to ask him to meet us here on the podium.
Prima, buongiorno a tutte e tutti.
Good morning, everyone. It's an honor for me to be here today.
He is really representing the world, and English is becoming really the universal language. For Bulgaria, obviously, it's a great honor to be the exclusive partner of such a unique international exhibition of art. It was a dream. The dream came true. It's a long dream. We are committed at least through 2030, so for another 2 editions, and hopefully more than that. And I really want to thank the president of the Biennale, Pietrangelo Buttafuoco, for the trust in Bulgaria. And obviously, I join, the whole Koyo team also to thank the team to have carried forward, all the stones and all the bases laid by Koyo and perpetuated her spirit into this Biennale. So congratulations to all of them, please. So, Bulgaria and the Biennale of Venezia, why? That's a good question. Basically, there are 2 answers, very simple. One is that Bulgaria crafts art, and the second one is that Bulgaria fosters, sponsors artists since ages. I will start with the first element, crafting of art, jewelry. You may know that jewelry is the very first art developed by humankind more than 120,000 years ago. It was not yet with precious metals. It was more made of beads, of bones, of shells, but it was jewelry, it was necklaces, it was bracelets, and it was crafted to celebrate love. And it took, obviously, many years before it became gold. And it became gold 7,000 years ago in Varna, a city which, it might be a coincidence, is located in a country called not Bulgaria, but Bulgaria. Maybe it's a coincidence of history and of destiny for us. And after jewelry was created by humankind, it took a lot of time, before humankind moved to painting and sculpture. This gets back to 45,000 years, so a long period, between the birth of jewelry and the next artistic evolution. And eventually, to get to architecture, we have to wait the last 7,000 years with the first architectural location located in Turkey. This is really a place where I encourage all of you to go, which is Göbekli Tepe, Turkey. And this is acknowledged as the most ancient element of architecture in the world. And last, watchmaking is considered as an art, and it's only 700 years old. So obviously, knowing that, each and every single day in our laboratories, we do not only imagine beautiful jewelry, but we craft unique, one-of-a-kind masterpieces which will last for decades, for centuries, and more. If I look at the old jewelry of Varna, it's still like new, because gold is forever, like some gems are forever. And therefore, we feel very much in the field of art and protagonists ourselves of art. Now, it's not only about crafting arts, it's about paying a tribute to arts, having the privilege to craft arts. And this is a tradition of Bulgaria, which was born with the generosity of the Bulgari family. Nicola Bulgari was there yesterday. I don't know whether he's in that room today because I'm a bit short-sighted. But the Bulgari family has ever been, I mean, very famous in Roma and in Italy for its generosity, not hesitating even when the company was very small to find resources to foster the emergence of young artists, to turn, I mean, a modest orchestra, the Accademia Santa Cecilia of Rome, into one of the major orchestra in Europe. And they donated a lot of their wealth, even though, I mean, they were not the Bulgaria of today. It was, as I mentioned, a small company. And we inherited, I mean, this DNA, which is very much also anchored into the values of our shareholder. You may know that the main shareholder of Bulgaria is LVMH. LVMH is very famous also for its foundation, I mean, the Louis Vuitton Foundation in Paris, and also the passion of Mr. Arnaud for arts, which is world famous. And Bulgaria perpetuated the work and the generosity of the Bulgari family with its own initiatives, including some in Venezia. I mean, the golden stairs of the Palace of Doges, rather than in Murano, Veronese restoring of San Pietro Martiro church. And besides Venezia, we have been extremely active in Rome, of course. I mean, from the Caracalla to Largo Argentino, piuttosto che currently restoring the tomb of our first emperor, Augustus. Hopefully soon to be open to the public. It's something we are working hard together with the city of Rome to make it happen. The Spanish Steps, and I could name many, but beyond Italy, also involved, I was forgetting in Rome, excuse me, the Maxi, because it's not only about the arts of the past, but we want to foster the arts of the future. So it's 10 years now that we're working closely with the Maxi for the Maxi Bulgari Prize, and some of our artists here in Venezia have been first made famous thanks to the Maxi Prize. Some of them won it, some others participated to it, and I'm very happy and proud, I mean, that they are in Venice for this Biennale this year. And beyond, obviously, Rome, beyond Venice, we also have been extremely proactive, I mean, in fostering modern arts. I mean, we are a partner of Dubai Arts, and especially arts which are developed by women. We are a jeweler. We work to make women more elegant, more self-insured. And so for us, it's very important that besides having a majority of women managing the company, I will myself relinquish my CEO job in a few weeks to a lady, Laura. She is together with us today. And I'm very happy because Bulgaria deserves to be run by women. It's actually the case, except at the top, and now it will become the case also at the top. So very, very happy. I will still remain president, so you will see me again, I mean, at the next edition, don't worry. Jokes apart, I think it's very important that we are present both as Bulgari at the pavilion with Lotus Kang. We had a cocktail yesterday with her. She's a very extraordinary artist, and I'm sure that the Bulgari pavilion, which is entirely decorated by Lotus, will astonish you by the extraordinary fusion of different materials, of totally unexpected items. So very much in the Bulgari style, which is to put together gems, metals, material that traditional jewelers usually neglect. And for the sake of beauty, we are doing that, and it's exactly what Lotus is doing. And really, I think that this pavilion will be of high interest, not only for you, but for all visitors. And in parallel, we have created in 24 the Bulgari Foundation, with the aim to develop not only young artists and arts, but also education with Save the Children in particular, and also to preserve what we call métiers d'art, those manual expertise which are so important for the future of arts, which are so important for the future of jewelry, and which are so important, in humankind. I think the world has deviated a bit too much toward universities, forgetting that a great part of the world substance, the world added value is made by hands, intelligent hands, but by hands manually. And it's our duty as a jeweler, which is very manual, to promote also those expertise, which unfortunately have been disappearing recently. And for that, the foundation will be at the Biblioteca Marciana, a great place, obviously, with incredible archive, more than 1 million books and over hundreds of thousands of documents. Yesterday, I had the privilege to be with the director of the Biblioteca. We went through the Testament of Marco Polo. That's just an illustration of the richness of that bibliothèque. And we have two artists exhibiting, Laura Favaretto on the one hand, and Monia Ben Amouda. Both have been, in the past, connected with Bulgari through the Maxi Bulgari Prize. And for us, it's obviously a great pride, a great privilege to have them protagonists of the Biennale 2026. And last, and to conclude, I think personally that art is really the ultimate expression of the human being. A lot of things can be done by animals, a lot of things can be done by artificial intelligence, but arts can be only done by men and women, by human beings. And this is what, to me, makes the difference between humankind and the rest of any living or technological instruments. So that's why we are so keen to promote arts, because it's a permanent open-minding activity. It's a permanent reinvention or invention of things that even a machine couldn't imagine. It can be inspired by, but it can come out of the blue. And the beauty of art is that it has no limits. It can span from traditional sculpture to audio installation, and it's limitless. And the more we can dedicate time, funds, energies to promote young artists, the more we pay tribute to what has been given to us as a main gift, life on this beautiful planet Earth. Thank you, grazie mille.
Invito ora sul palco.
And now I would like to ask the President of La Biennale di Venezia, Pietrangelo Buttafuoco, to step forward.
Grazie. Grazie al Ministero della Cultura.
Thank you to the Ministry of Culture, Alessandro Giuli, Minister Giuli. Thank you to the institutions of the local territory who have supported the work of the Foundation La Biennale di Venezia. So thank you to the City of Venice. I would also today like especially to say thank you to each Venetian. Thank you to each citizen of this territory. Thank you to the Veneto region. Thank you to the Superintendency for Fine Arts, Landscape and Heritage of the City of Venice. And thank you to our neighbors, the Marina Militare. I would also like to thank Bulgari, exclusive partner of the event, and Illy Cafe, the main sponsor. And I would like to thank all the sponsors, American Express, Bloomberg, Vela Venezia Unica, and Quattro Gatti Gin. Thank you also to RAI as media partner that follows the event from today until November with an offer in the TV, radio, and web. I would like to thank the donors, the entities, the international institutions who have supported us in designing and realizing Biennale Arte 2026. Thank you, Tavia Piccolo. A round of applause for Tavia. Who has given us back the very Venetian verses of the greatest poet that in the contemporary world tells of Venice and talks of Venice. Thank you. In the heavens where she is, Kouoh. And thank you to all of you of the extraordinary team, the extraordinary interpreters and testimonials of a precious and unique world tuned to the future, such as Koyo's work was. And thank you once again, and I do this every day, believe me, thank you all those who in the Biennale, La Biennale Foundation work day by day to maintain high the image, the history of 130 years of history. So thank you to my colleagues. Going forward, being bold, developing and realizing in freedom your projects. This is the recommendation of the Presidents of the Republic. And now, here we are. Sergio Mattarella, the head of the Italian state, to whom we are grateful and whom we respect, in the Davide Di Natello, spoke of the mandates of the cultural people who work in culture and art. And he spoke of boldness. Be free and bold. And here we are. If the political authorities were simply those who understood each other without talking, where there is interference which leads to bend the solidity of institutions, the cultural institutions, today we would have had a different outcome. We might have such an outcome tomorrow or the day after. But the presidents of the Council, Giorgia Meloni, when asked a precise question, the question of all questions on the participation of Russia in the International Art Exhibition, and a question made by Corriere della Sera, her answer was, the Foundation La Biennale di Venezia is autonomous. Now she made an introduction. She said, I am not in agreement, but, and it is that but that she pronounced, and I thank her for it. In that but, she confirmed, finally, the freedom and the autonomy. and therefore the freedom and the boldness that are at the core of the iure, the civilization of law, which is the doctrine that Sergio Mattarella is a master of. So the iure, the civilization of law, which is very different from the ethical statute, where the law is equal for all and appears deformed within a system where the law is the same for all, but for all those who think in the same way as us, the way we want them to think. But we have the iure, the civilization of law. And no jurisprudence can change that. Ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, journalists, artists, curators, friends, you see, there's an image that accompanies me over the last few days. The finger that hints to the moon. It's an image that has become necessary to remember because the risk, once again, the risk is to stop and just look at the finger. The discussions, the belongings, the pressure, the individual cases, all of this leads us to forget the moon. And that is what really concerns us, that moon. The world as it is, the world in its tragic truth, never as in these days. And it is in this condition of global warfare. History knocks on the doors of everyday lives of all of us. And indeed, it obviously knocks on the solid doors of 130 years of the solid history of La Biennale di Venezia. And we come to this opening after complex and weeks, I would say days, I would say hours, complicated hours and times, requests for exclusion, positions, and a lot of things that have preceded listing. If there's one thing that I wonder of, and I'm talking to Umberto Vattani, who is an authority from this point of view. Now, all this world that arises from the French Revolution, from the Enlightenment, from Laicism, from the attempt to find the perfect form of democracy has turned upside down and become a laboratory of intolerance, of demands for censorship, for closure and exclusion. And yet we have spoke of those who should be in and those who should not be in, those who represent what and what guilt they bring with them. And then there are the real tragedies, the ongoing wars, the civilians who in these times die much more than in the days when we thought that we had finished and relegated to history books the tragedy. And that was in the past, the wars of the 1900s, and we don't want to admit all of this. Yet we do not ignore what happens out of here. We are not blind. And in that moon, there are realities. I am talking of democracies that suddenly established the death penalty with constant violence, discrimination, wars that devastate lives and territories. And that is the point. It is here that we find the point. Closing to somebody means creating greater fragility when we open up to others. And if La Biennale were to start to select not artwork, but not visions, but passports, it would stop being what it always has been. It is the place where the world comes together and meets, where it meets, especially when the world is torn. And then there's this city, Venice, that for centuries never feared meetings and encounters. Venice never asked the world to be pure in order to come here, welcoming differences, contradictions, and even conflicts, always transforming them into dialogue and cohabitation. La Biennale has been doing this for 130 years, collecting visions, conflicts, showing them without making them anything banal, never turning them into slogans. And today I'm saying this to my colleagues, to artists, to curators, to whoever has a responsibility. And I say this to all the citizens I meet. Today we are not going to negotiate 130 years of history that have always told the world in this way. Here we do not feed the controversies. We do not give answers. We open up discussions. And this is the content of the exhibition. This is a theme that is part of the exhibition. This edition of La Biennale, curated by Kouoh, is deeply aware of the fragility of the present. It is a biennale that does not want to simplify, reassure. It wants to show layered points of view, open up to questions. Here, the only veto is the preventative exclusion. And I am concerned, we are concerned by a direction, the anticipated sentence, that is, the censorship that arrives even before something has been shown, the declarations that come from all directions, building up a verdict even before dialogue. And we know very well that this is a climate that does not help understanding, but creates rigidity. La Biennale, let this be clear, and it is constantly clear, it is not a court. We do not have a trial that has been celebrated already, where sentences have already been decided. This is a garden of peace, a place where we exhibit, a place where we discuss, a place where we listen. It is a garden, and I take that from the image of the poets I love of the year 1000, Imdam these above all, a garden and not an enclosure. And this restates a principle. We cannot be closed. We cannot boycott as an automatic answer. We must discuss. We can have dissent, and even forcefully, but within a shared space, never outside of it. To the institutions, we ask for dialogue, not documents that are circulated underhand. And this leads me back to the initial image. Let us not stop and look at the finger, especially when the finger is pointing at somebody. And so, friends, let us all together try to look at the moon, even when it is difficult to see it, when it is difficult to support, because it is the moon that provides us the measure of and provides the measure and the sense of what we're doing here. La Biennale, founded in 1985 by a group of intellectuals, artists, and the mayor, reformers, progressives, This institution has worked asymmetrically over the years. A city represented by an autonomous institution that establishes a dialogue with the countries who decided to participate autonomously. Today, at 131 years, the 60th, and in this edition, we have 100 countries officially recognized by the Italian Republic. Countries who in turn recognize the Italian Republic as a sovereign state. The presence of these countries respects the international law and the national law, the iure. And there are no margins for any other assessments, of ethical, political, religious, racial nature. Because, and let this be clear once and for all, it is in that which is different from us that we find ourselves. And this is a chrism that comes from the Lex Romana, which is that of Christ and the universal civilizations. My Sicily of the Emir, universality. These 100 countries autonomously decided to participate here and now in this exhibition. 31 have a home. 17 erected it themselves on their own initiative and are permanently present in the Giardini. We are all in Venice, a city that's founded on dialogue, trade, and the encounter of cultures and religions that are different one from the other. On this, it founded its history and its beauty, the beauty that we all testify to. And on these principles of encounter amongst the different parties, we autonomously celebrate art. And it is for this reason that the institution that I lead finds its foundation. La Biennale uses the same rule for all countries: law, iure, respect, peace, and I might say salam and dialogue. And it is the best guarantees of all for all of the nations that participate. And this is what Venice teaches us: equality in diversity. This autonomy that sees the presence of different parties solves the crisis, the grave crisis, by upturning the prospect, the absolute need for peace, to resolve this determination not to see, not to say, to not be able to pronounce this constant need for censorship, for exclusion that can only satisfy egos and narcissism. The ego and narcissism of those who, in the comfort of their homes, think that they can solve everything with a click, a signature, and then send off. Everything offends us and hurts us deep down to create a space and an alternative space. In the Giardini today are present Ukraine and Russia. As in the film festival, where I saw side by side, and not just for alphabetical reasons, the flags of Iran and Israel. In Venice, we do not embrace weapons. Si vis pacem, para pacem. That is what, this is our tribute to Koyo Kouoh.
Grazie Presidente, grazie.
Thank you, President. Thank you all for being here and for coming to listen to our presentation. If there are questions for Kouoh's team, this is the time. There are no questions, in which case enjoy the exhibition. Now there is one. There is a question. Sara D'Acenzo, Corriere del Veneto. I would like to ask the team how they experienced what happened with the jury, which was appointed and then gave its resignation for the facts that have been mentioned.
The jury was selected by Kouoh before her departure. Every member of that jury she knew very well and loved and respected. The circumstances to the resignation of the jury we were not privy to. They did not inform us beforehand, and we learned from the press. We respect their decision, and we hope that they will visit the exhibition at some point and see the work that was done. Mm-hmm.
Non ci sono altre domande.
There are no more questions, so goodbye and thank you. Enjoy the exhibition.